Happy New Year, you guys. Good morning. So I hope you guys had a really good Christmas and really good New Year. And so it is 2022. Can you believe it? I know I look a mess. I just got up and decided to get the day started. I want to get some coffee, but we're actually going to go out to get breakfast this morning at a place that's a little bit far away. So I got to hurry up and get ready. I'm going to take a quick shower and get started. But I hope you guys had a good 2021. And now it's a whole new year and we can do it all over again. I didn't do a lot of videos for Christmas because I wanted to enjoy the time with the kids and they had a really good Christmas. So let's go ahead and get 2022 started today. I'm just going to be taking you guys on a journey with me through my day and getting some stuff done that I have to get done today. And also I want to talk to you about how I'm going to get 2022 started. And the main thing that I had to do was to get the budget together, and I'm going to show you how we do that. So let's go so we can get this day started. For breakfast, we are headed to a place in the city of Atlanta. It's called Snooze Breakfast Eatery or something like that. And we love this place. We come here about every other week because it's so good and innovative with their flavors. It's just something different. It's not like your typical breakfast place. So we really like it. And we had to go check the mail first before we prepare for this long breakfast drive. And so as you can see, I never checked the mail and it was a lot in there. So I realized that I got a ticket for speeding in a school zone. And so Eric and I were having a good time kind of making fun of one of these red light camera situations. I hate those because they're never accurate and they never give a clear picture of what really happened. So I'm going to have to write them. But the kids are ready for their ride. Kelsey actually specifically requested this place because she and I came here a couple of weeks ago and it is so delicious, but they get packed really easily. We went to the one on Roswell Road in Atlanta that's close to Sandy Springs. And so I'm hoping they bring one closer to our area so we don't have to travel so far. But the kids love to get their hot chocolate since it's winter, and I love to get my pumpkin pie spice coffee or latte or whatever. Ever since October came, or whenever October comes, I always get the pumpkin pie spice. I'm one of those people, you guys. I'm sorry. And so it was really good and warm and toasty. And our breakfast came and it was so delicious, but I just can't finish it all. And I will share with you guys a little bit later on in another video about my weight loss journey and my medical weight loss, and actually my medical weight loss business. I'll share that at a later time. But as you can see, they put a lot of detail into these meals and it's just delicious. And so we're going to enjoy this, and I will let you guys know what I have planned for the rest of the day in just a second. We are doing a lot better with planning our going out to eat and budgeting, and I will be telling you guys how we settled this check with our new budgeting system in just a little while. So the ticket came out to $85 and we have planned for this in our budget, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so we are back home. We had breakfast. We had to run a couple of errands to the bank, and also to go pick up a gift card that I ordered all the way from Black Friday. And so now I'm back home and I'm going to start cleaning up the bathroom just to get this a little bit cleaner and tidier so that I can sit down and kind of go through some of the budget. And so I'm going to show you guys what I've been doing to get ready for budgeting in 2022. So let's tackle this bathroom real quick. It's not a whole lot going on, but I just want to get it cleaned up before it gets too far gone because that happens really quickly.
I don't think we got enough time to sort out all the fights, to sort out all the lies. Oh baby, yeah. Oh, no. There was a part of me that knew that, and still I'm caught by surprise. I thought you'd always be mine.
So I guess another thing that I'm organizing this year are my cleaning supplies. I did go ahead and get one of these caddies as opposed to going downstairs a million times and bringing up all of my cleaning stuff up here. So I did get one of these. And as you can see, the bathroom doesn't look too bad. I do have some toothbrush stains from this charcoal toothpaste that I've been using. And I really like the toothpaste, but it stains a lot. I have the mouthwash and I also have the toothpaste, and so I don't know if I'm going to keep using it because as you can see, it creates a lot of stains around the tub. I can't put it in the drawer right after using it because I need for it to drip a little bit, and I don't want all of that in my drawer. So I just leave it on the sink, and it continues to create these little circles where the toothbrush has been. But anyways, I'm going to stay organized with this, and I don't know what Eric had in his sink. I think he was trimming his beard this morning, so I'm going to get this tidied up really quickly, and I'm just going through some of the favorites that I'm going to be keeping inside of my organizer here, and some baking soda stuff for the dogs. I'm going to talk about them in another video, having a lot of fun with them. My squirt and mop as usual, my Mrs. Meyer's glass and tub cleaner, and also I have some flushable toilet wipes that I bought last year or the year before at the beginning of the pandemic when the toilet paper was in short supply and we didn't have to use all of it. So I'm just going to be using the extra for some cleaning supplies, and so I thought that was a good way to get rid of these.
No, it's no more, we're done now. No, it's no more, we're done now. No, it's no more, no, no. We're done now. No, it's no more, we're done now. No, it's no more, we're done now. No, it's no more, no, no. Yeah. It's not ready.
Make sure you stick around because I am going to be going into a lot of detail about how I've been planning our budget for 2022, how I am really drilling down and getting organized to get all of this stuff covered in the budget, the cleaning supplies, the groceries, the eating out. I am going to give you guys so much detail about a new system that Eric and I have been using, and I think that you are going to love it. It is a lot of details because I said I cannot do this video if I don't give all the details about how I'm doing it and answer a few questions that I know people might have. So make sure you stick around to the end after all this cleaning is done, because I have to organize my space first, then I can organize the finances. So make sure you stick around for all that financial tips and advice and find out what system we're actually going to be using for this year.
Cold looking, but saying bye, bye, bye. I don't wanna talk before the moment slowly slips away. Get a little dirty, baby, nothing you ain't gonna take, yeah. Fire burning like I do under my tattoos. There's a remedy, 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 yeah. And the way you go, baby, don't you know there's a remedy, 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 yeah. Oh, would you call me on my sins? You think that you're under my skin. I just wanna wake up in my bed alone. Oh no, I don't wanna be tucked in someone else's arms. I will close my door cause I need my time. Wanna speak so loud even though I hide. Like I'm hypnotized, can't get out of here. You don't know me, I just need my time, yeah. But they say I don't know where you come from. I don't. You seem too nice to be alone. So lonely. I see you going through some things and I just wanna help. I don't know how to make it clearer. I just wanna go home alone. I need some time alone.
Now you may have noticed I'm using a new sponge. I am using the Scrub Mommy sponge that goes in the Scrub Daddy family. So the Scrub Daddy has, I think both sides are pretty rough, and the Scrub Mommy has one soft side and one semi scrubber side, so it's really not as hard as the Scrub Daddy. And I love this in the kitchen and in the bathroom because I can use the soft side in the tub and also the rough side. The rough side is not as rough as a Scrub Daddy, and so it's kind of like a soft scrubber sponge. I really like that, and I'm just going around in the shower and just getting some of the grime off so that it's not too bad. I didn't go too deep today. I still have some soap, some little pieces of soap that I probably need to get rid of, and I'm not going to be completely getting rid of everything around the sink because we're just going to come right back to it today, and I need to organize under the sink a little bit better. So I'm going to be leaving that stuff there, but I just had to get the sink and all this stuff wiped down, and so this was a really quick kind of cleaning day for me in the master bathroom.
Maybe we got time to make this right. Can I be the one that you need? Maybe if I change the way I love it, maybe if I try to fix this heart, then I could have stayed the night, I could have called you mine. If I change the way I love, if I change the way I love, if I change, if I change the way I love, if I change the way I love. Yeah, you know what I've done in the past. Still you say you and I, we can last. I have found new ways, but no, can I be the one that you need? You said that you needed me, like a cargo, you will carry me. I just hope you know my depth.
Now I'm finishing up my bathroom, and I did come through with a Shark cordless pet stick vacuum. This is my first cordless vacuum, so I am part of the cordless vacuum family now. I really love this. The kids love it. When they're cleaning up the kitchen or helping me around the house, I can tell them to go grab this real quick, and we can do multiple rooms without having to drag the cord around. I do still love my other Shark Rocket, and so I really love all of my vacuum cleaners for different reasons, but I'm loving this one because it's just kind of get up and go, and you really can't beat that. The suction is not as strong as a corded one, but it's still a really nice option to just be able to get one and take it in any room without a cord.
Who's breaking hearts? One who's breaking.
Okay, so I've cleaned up the bathroom. It's behind me, and so I feel a little bit refreshed. I'm in my closet, which is basically my closet office. The clothes are all around me, but I just feel a little bit better when I can get cleaned up. And I told you guys that the first of the year is a time to start thinking about budgeting and what you can do, or we can do, or I can do to be better with budgeting. Okay, and so I started realizing a few months ago that we really need to get our budget back on track, because so many things can change over the course of a year. And so our finances change, the amount of food that we're eating changes. If you guys have ever seen one of my first videos on here, is actually a farmer's market haul video where I talked about we go shopping for the month for our meat. And I spent, I think, like $500 in that video for meat just for the month. So it's important for us to be able to sit down and budget. This time around, I got a little more in depth with the budgeting, and I just decided to do a couple of things different. The first thing is I purchased a budgeting book or motivational book, and that was a book by Tiffany Alicia, or the Budgetnista. You guys have probably seen some of her social media posts and things like that, where she is talking about, you know, she's a guru in finance and budgeting and all that. And so I bought her book, and I did the ebook. So I didn't buy the physical book, and that was good because I listened to it in the car. One of the things I did feel like the book kind of drug things out a little bit, which was a little bit of a negative for me, but it was still a positive in a way because it drug it out. It helped me to realize that I needed to get a little more knee deep into our budgets. And so while I was complaining like, oh, I already know this, you can know something and still not practice it. And so even me hearing her talk about it made me realize that I wasn't practicing it. And at least I thought I was practicing it, but I wasn't. And so what I mean is I thought that I had a good handle on how much we were spending on certain things. But when I thought about it and started to get real with myself, I realized that some things I wasn't accounting for. Like I started going back to get coffee every day, you know, in the morning, like really early in the morning, I would get coffee. And I stopped doing that for a while because I was drinking tea, and I still do drink tea, but I go through phases with coffee, especially around pumpkin pie spice season, around that October-ish time. And so I realized that if I'm spending $3 a day, you know, at the end of the month, that's almost $100. And so I said, you know what, it's time to rework the budget. And so Eric and I, we really do this about once a year. And so this process is we sit down and we talk about how much we're spending for the month and just in general with a lot of our finances. And I talk about his finances, he talks about my finances, and we talk about the household finances together. And so we come together and figure out, you know, how much we need to be putting into the account to pay the bills and get a lot of the financial goals that we have, you know, accomplished. And so it's a little bit frustrating sometimes. And in the book, Tiffany calls this the tears and tissue time, when you realize like you want to cry because you're thinking about how much money you're spending on things that you didn't realize. And so I want to take you guys through what that process kind of looks like for me and Eric, and also just to give you some tips and show you one tool that we have been using recently that has been a total game changer. I feel like I say game changer a lot about a lot of things, but that's a good thing because I feel like in this past year, we have grown to know some things that have really changed and had an impact on our lives individually and as a couple. So saying game changer is not a bad thing, but it's really been a game changer, and I'm going to tell you about it. It's an app called Cube, and that's Q-U-B-E. And so you go to cubemoney.com, and I'll put the link below. And so Cube is a way of doing envelope banking. And so if you don't know what envelope banking is, or some people used to even do gift card banking, it's where you take envelopes and you basically just write out each envelope is for a specific thing. So this envelope would be for mortgage money, and this envelope would be for gas money, and this is for, you know, discretionary spending. And so when you go to purchase that item, you can only take money out of that envelope. And so, you know, now we're a little bit more advanced from envelopes. So a lot of people were doing gift cards where they would take that money, the envelope money, and put it in a gift card and only spend from that gift card. And so I started doing some research, and I said, I know there has to be an app that we can use to actually do envelope banking digitally. And so Cube Money actually solves that problem, you guys, and it solves the problem wonderfully. And I'm going to tell you how I've been using it, give you some tips and tricks on how I've been budgeting for our household, because I am the one that does most of it. Eric, he kind of agrees with me on what we should and shouldn't do, but then I am the one that executes it. So I'll tell you how I've been executing it, some of the drawbacks that I have, which there are a couple, but not really a lot. But overall, I am in love with this Cube banking. Okay. Eric was a little bit hesitant because we do get rewards from our current bank, and we use that for Christmas. At the end of the year, we get hundreds of dollars in Amazon gift cards, and that really takes care of a lot of our Christmas. But I think the money that we will be able to save and identify where we're spending too much money with this Cube banking system is going to help us out a lot more and save us a lot of tears and tissue, as the budget needs to cause it. Okay, so here's the first thing. So the first thing that we did, and I actually had to white out some of this. Let me get it closer. I whited out a lot. So this is actually me going through an Excel spreadsheet, and we wrote out all of our bills. And these are actually bills that I just whited out because it was so super personal, and the amounts go right here. And so I actually deleted the amounts so I could just kind of show how we were doing it. And I took it a step further, and I put a formula into this column, and it showed me the percentages because I wanted to see the percentages. Now you can just look at a quick YouTube video to show you how to create a formula for this column, but basically you need your total monthly income. So I did my total take-home income in one of the cells. It was like down here, and you tell this column to divide, you know, how much you're spending by your total amount, and it'll give you a percentage right here, or a decimal, and you just convert that into a percentage. So say, for example, household expenses, that was 37.5. So out of the spending, our household expenses is taking up 37 or almost 40%, which I'm fine with that. And at the end of it all down here, and I did make some changes, so this isn't totally accurate, but it said 60%. So it said out of everything that we were spending, that was 60% of our income. Now I did make some changes because I felt like that wasn't right, and it wasn't totally right. And I'll show you guys how we drill down even further. But this is how we started, just looking at all of the expenses that we have, and this is everything. And so what I did is I kept every month just thinking about it. We've been doing this for a few months now, and so every month I was thinking about it, and these are some handwritten notes, and I did go through and white out just some really super personal stuff, but this is my actual paper that I look at every month. And so once we figured out what we were spending, then I went and put them into categories. And so the budgetnista, she talks about kind of prioritizing, you know, the spending, what's like super important. I forgot what she called them, like A, B, or C, or something like that. I was just putting that in every day as I was in the car, you know, doing something, or on the weekends. I was just listening to her talk about budgeting. So I was listening to it just off and on every day. I realized when it's time to, you know, do something, or when it's time to do something, or you want to make a change with something, you have to kind of inundate yourself with it. So I was inundating myself with like budgeting tips for like several weeks, and I made it through most of the book. I didn't get through all of it because I still have some left to go, but just the part that I got through was just so impactful. So I put it into categories, and this is like mortgage, utilities, and the utilities, you guys, we decided to put the cable and everything that went along with the cable. So the Disney Plus, Hulu, I think we have, what else do we have on here? Stars, and there's something else. Oh, Spotify. So actually I made a separate cube, and that's entertainment, but I kind of grouped those together with utilities and entertainment. And so what I did is I broke this down into, this is weekly. So I broke this down into weekly, and I'll show you guys how that plays into my cube in just a second. So we decided, you know, how much it costs to put into this account every week for utilities, for entertainment, for the mortgage, and I even have home decor down here, because you have to think about the things that are important for you and what you're spending money on. And you guys watch my channel, you know that I just buy little trinkets and, you know, this and that, but that stuff adds up. And so I was looking at our bank statement. So let me go back. The bank has spending tools usually that will show you what you're spending your money on. And that started to kind of trigger memories for me and trigger ideas about where I could be spending a lot of money. And this won't happen all at once. It will happen as you're spending. You'll think about, oh, I need to go add that to the budget. And once you do that, like I said, the 60% that I thought that we were spending every month actually wound up being more, because I started realizing there were a lot of things that I hadn't included in that budget. So looking at your banking tools and letting it show you where you're spending a lot of your money will also help to jumpstart some of your thought process. And so I realized I was spending a lot of money on Amazon. Like one month I looked and I spent like $300 or $400 on Amazon, and that is a lot of money on Amazon. And so we had to get this kind of categorized and figure out what to do. And so the dogs are a new expense for us. And so I put the dogs into the budget, and that includes their grooming, their meds, and they had money in their cube the other day. And so I bought them some dog fences. We really needed it a long time ago, but I was not going to spend it because it wasn't in the budget, and they had money in their budget. And down here, it was just some my priorities. And so I did kind of wipe that out. It was just telling me about some things that I wanted to do personally with debt. So that was that. That's how we kind of started, and the handwritten notes helps to get things started. Now, because this is weekly, you have to decide how you want to fund your cubes. So let me just talk about the cubes. So once you go to cubemoney.com, you sign up for an account. I signed up for a family account, and that gives me and Eric access into the account. So in order to get money into the cube, you do a direct deposit, or you can transfer money from a bank account. I was kind of leery because this was something new for me and I didn't want to just put all my money in there. So I did do the internal transfer just to play around with it for like some coffee purchases, you know, in the beginning and things like that. But the max, I think, is like $100 a day. And also, before I forget, the withdrawal limit is $240 a day. And so I have heard that online banking does not let you get a lot of money out like some of the brick and mortar banks. And Tiffany and the Budgetnista even talks about how, you know, it's important not to be able to access that much money. So, you know, whatever. I went into this knowing that I wasn't going to be taking money out of the ATM, but that is worth mentioning. Okay, so the limit to actually deposit money in or transfer money from another bank or transfer money in through your debit card is $100. You can do a wire transfer, but I think that takes several days. And so finally, after a couple of weeks, I gave in and I did the direct deposit from my job. And they say you can get your money up to 2 days faster. So the first time I did it, the money came like the night before, the day before my direct deposit. And so it did that a couple of times. And so recently I've started to get my direct deposit a couple of days earlier. That wasn't a big deal for me, but I wouldn't rely on that. You may get it 12 hours earlier than you would at your bank. So you might get it 5 o'clock the day before as opposed to 8 o'clock the next morning. So that wasn't huge for me, but I finally did do it. And I will tell you that that is super easier. This is way easier to actually get the direct deposit, because once it comes in through a direct deposit, it goes into your cloud. And once it's in your cloud, you can start moving the money to your different cubes. So once you establish your cubes, then you just spend from that cube. And every time you go to the store, you tap to open a cube, which is basically your envelope, and it spends from that envelope. So you know how much money you have left in your envelope. And so I have made cubes that are pretty similar to the categories here. And so we didn't do the mortgage because we kept the mortgage in our previous bank because we had direct deposit already set up for that. And it was easier just to leave that money. So all of the money doesn't go into the cube, but usually at your job, you can set up the direct deposit to be parsed out into separate accounts the way you want it. And that's what we did. And so that's been working really good for us. And so a couple of questions that I know people will have about the Cube banking system. As I've been using it, I've just been making notes. The first thing is the ATM. Like I said, the withdrawal is like $240 a day. I had to actually message them. And customer service, you usually message them if you have questions. And so that was a little bit strange for me. But they do respond really quickly when they're open and they'll answer your questions. And they responded that it was $240 limit. In order to wire, or in order to ATM transfer from debit card to this debit card, the limit I think is $100 a day. I don't know what the limit is for a wire transfer, if there is one, but I know there's a delay in the days. So it could take probably up to a week to get a wire transfer from bank to bank. So I wouldn't go that route. Another question about going to the ATM, they will email you and say, hey, you know, we sent your card. Did you get your card? You say yes. And you go ahead and set up your PIN. You set up your own PIN at that time. So it was a little strange for me and Eric to do it because we thought they were referring to his card coming after mine. And we didn't know which account we were setting up the PIN for. So I just wound up going to the ATM and checking it, and it was my card. So you can go to the ATM, but you do have to open up a cube. So if you go to the ATM and you don't open up a specific cube, it doesn't know what envelope to pull from or what cube to pull from. And so it will send you an alert on your phone and say that you're attempting to do an ATM transaction, but we don't know what cube to pull it from, and the ATM will kick it back. So once I open up the cube, then I can pull money from the ATM. So the next thing is when you're sharing cubes, you can actually give access to your cubes to someone else. It sends them an email invite and they accept it and they have access to the cube. So Eric had to delete his app and reinstall it. And once he did that, he was able to see my cubes. And so you just open up your cube and spend like you normally would. And so we're really excited that he can now spend from the cube. So Amazon. So with Amazon, you have to set up a payment, a prepayment. So you go into your cube and you tell it that you want to set up an Amazon payment, and you have to know the exact amount. And so once you know the exact amount, you go to Amazon, it says it's going to be $15.75. You go to your cube and you say you want to pre-authorize for Amazon $15.75. And once you charge that amount, at Amazon, you complete the checkout, it draws it from that cube. And so now it knows where to pull that money from. If you don't pre-authorize it, it probably won't go through. I haven't done a lot of that. I really have not done a lot of that because I'm really cutting back on the pre-authorized payments and Amazons and things like that. And so we can still link to our other bank account, but I'm not doing a lot of that. I promise I'm getting a lot better on using the cube solely, but it did take a few weeks, and we still have a couple of things that we have to get better at with the cube. Okay, so that's how Amazon is supposed to work. Now, again, for those payments that you have auto drafts on, you're supposed to go into your cube, pre-authorize that amount, and it draws it from that cube. I don't know if you have to do that every month, or if you can set it one time and forget it. I'm imagining you have to do it every month, because I think once that payment comes out, it kind of closes that pre-authorization and you have to go in the next month and do it. And so for me, it's not that bad because I actually have a calendar. And so what I do is I write out all the bills on, I call it a bills summary. And so this is a sample one, but my real one actually looks like this. And it has the days that the bills are due. So the mortgage is due on the 1st. And then I might have like insurance or something due on the 15th, whatever. And I put it here. And so every Friday I come, which one of these is Friday? I come every Friday and I look to see what's going to be due for that week or the next 2 weeks. And I go ahead and make those payments. And so this is how I set it up. And even at the bottom, I did utility accounts or account numbers for reference. And so on my actual bill summary, I have my account numbers just in case I need to call them or quickly reference something and make a phone call to them. I don't have to go online or digging for the bills because I never keep the bills and I never remember the actual passwords when I go online if I'm not by the computer that has the password saved on it. But this is how I do that. So once I know that the payment is coming up, I can go authorize that payment for like car insurance or something like that. But I have found that really only the car insurance is really giving us a really deep discount for doing the automatic payments. So for example, Eric was paying the cell phone and the cable, I think, from an automatic draft. And that was not really giving us a really huge discount. It may be $4 or $5. But I wanted to control what days we made those payments a little bit better. And so not knowing what days they were coming out was really just kind of driving me a little crazy. Like, it's supposed to come out on the 10th, but it didn't come out until the 15th. And then if I'm going back to my calendar and I think that I paid all the bills for the week and then it comes out on another day, it's completely disrupting the system. So the only one I think that we found at this point that really, really helps us out with a deep discount is the car insurance. So we're taking the other bills off of automatic drafts and automatic payments. So going out to eat. I love going out to eat, and on our cube, we actually budget a fair amount of money for going out to eat. It's just what we do. We like to go out to eat like once a week. And if it's dinner, Eric and I know that we are going to have drinks, and that's just what we do. And so we budget for that. We have looked at, honestly, how much we spent on going out to eat, and we went back to that banking website that showed us how much we were spending, and we were very realistic. We only go out once a week, usually on Friday or Saturday. This week, as you guys saw, we did breakfast, but we have to stay within that budget, and we've been pretty good about it. What I will say is that our going out to eat budget does include the days that I don't feel like cooking, I'm not cooking at home, and I go and get something like fast food, or if they want to order pizza or we want to eat some chicken or something like that, that can come from either groceries or going out to eat, but usually it's going out to eat. The only time I'll pull it from groceries is if I've had a couple of weeks where I really was not cooking a lot. And I say, you know what, some of this has to come from the grocery budget because I would have been cooking otherwise. But that's only happened a couple of times, like as the weeks go on. And one thing I will say is I get a little sad as the weeks go on. I feel like, oh, the money's, you know, going down in the cubes. But then I have to realize it's supposed to, because now it's time to replenish the cubes again. And so this is not actually our savings. this is the money that we budgeted for this specific cube, and the rest of the money, our savings and all of that, is already set aside. So that's the great thing about it. This is already set aside. And one step further that most financial people will tell you is to get your direct deposit. Like I said, you can space it out or parse it out the way you want it to, is to get your savings already automated to go to another account. So I started saying, you know, why am I getting sad? This is the money, you know, that I'm supposed to be using to eat or go out to eat or whatever. And so as the money gets low the last couple of days, I'll say, you know what, I don't feel like cooking. There's $30 in groceries. Let me take that, put it with the $20 going out to eat. And now, you know, that's the money for going out to eat. And you can transfer money from cube to cube very easily. You can take $50 from utilities and put it, you know, towards the schnauzers. But it's all bill money, you know, so I know, you know what, I'm not going to Home Goods this week. I have $150 for home, you know, purchases and things like that. Let me just go ahead and move some money over, and you can do it in a matter of seconds. It will not overdraft. If you don't have a cube open, it will send you an alert and say you tried to make a purchase, but you didn't have a cube open. It'll say open a cube, and then you can retry it. And so that is really awesome. A couple of drawbacks that I found, like I said, I'm still a little bit unsure about the automatic payments, the prepayments for Amazon, and also for some of our utilities. But again, I am taking most of the utilities off. I did do a prepayment for a checking account purchase. So I guess one thing worth mentioning is that Cube is the app that allows you to move the money around, and it kind of manages the envelopes for you, but it's not the bank. The bank is Choice Financial Group. And so that is the bank that you're going to be banking with, which is Choice Financial Group. Okay, so that's one distinction they make on the website and even on the app. But you can get your banking account information on the app, and you can even access your debit card number on the app, which I actually love. I know some people may not like that, but I love it because I'm making like payments over the phone, and I can just swipe up, go to the app, and look and get my card number without having to get up. But one of the drawbacks is I'm still a little unsure about the Amazon and the automatic draft payments, and I'll keep you guys posted how that is going. But again, my goal was to get everything into cubes that I just pay one time and it's gone. I don't want to wait days and days to see if payments are coming out of the account. Something I do want to mention about going out to eat is when you leave your tip, make sure that you still have the tip amount in the cube, because it could take an hour, 2 hours, or even a couple of days, depending on when the restaurant actually settles their check, which is really weird to me because I used to work in restaurants and we would sit there at the end of the night checking out, and I could see the managers going through all of the tips and entering them into the computer system, and that is settling out your check. So I've had a restaurant come 2 days later and settle out the tip amount, and that was weird because I'm like, they're holding on to 2 days worth of credit card receipts. But anyways, so make sure if you're tipping like $10, that $10 in your cube, because it will come pull that tip out of that same cube, and it will say like, you know, your Chili's check settled for this amount, and it will include the tip. So you may have swiped it for 85 and it's settled, you know, for 100. And so they will send you an alert and tell you now your new cube balance is this amount. Let me go close the blinds because I see that the light is coming in a little bit different now. Somebody's coming. Okay, so one of the last things that I can tell you that really helped us with the budgeting is timing. And so I know that in the beginning, like I wanted, like if I started doing the cube at the 15th of the month, well, if I'm only putting in, let's say we only have 2 weeks left in the month. Where's my paper? So let's say for utilities. So let's say for utilities, and I think on this one I did group the entertainment and utilities together. So let's say this is $268 a week. So I put $268 in there for 2 weeks, but then like if that's like 500, let me see, how much is that? So if I put $268 for 2 weeks, that's $536. And so when it was time for me to go make a couple of payments, like the cable and then the phones, I was like, well, I don't have money for the rest of, you know, the bills that might be coming up for utilities, like the Netflix and Hulu and all of that. And so one of the things I found out was timing was going to be really key for me. And so what I decided to do, and everybody might not be able to do this, but if you can, I would encourage it, is to see if you can fund your cubes for either 2 weeks or 4 weeks at a time, because that's going to give you the cash flow that you need for the whole month, because you're still going to find yourself pulling from different cubes if you don't have money in that cube because of the timing. And so I had to really like talk to Eric about doing this and how we were going to fund the cubes and the timing. So I have gotten it down to funding the cubes every 2 weeks. And so that was hard for me, because if you're used to funding once a week, like if you get paid once a week and you know, you're like, I've got this much money left, you get used to that. Or if you get paid every 2 weeks, you know, if you start funding your cubes for every 2 weeks in the beginning, you're not going to really have that other money left over that you originally had or you used to have. And so it may feel like a little dry, like you're going through a drought for a couple of weeks until you get into a rhythm. So between the two of us, we can technically get paid every week, but we were used to having a certain amount of money left over after we were funding our bills, or now we're funding the cubes once a week. So I had to talk to Eric about, let's fund the cubes for 2 weeks. And that made us feel a little bit dry for a little while, but we got used to it. And so we're doing that every 2 weeks. But what I do not do is, once we fund the cubes, that's it. I am not going to pull out of the account for the mortgage. I'm not going to pull out any savings. I have to pull from other cubes. And so if I have to take money from the dogs, or I have to take money, I really wouldn't take anything from utilities, but like home furnishings and things like that, that's what I have to do. We're not dipping into any other accounts. And it has really, really, really helped us to separate our money, get ready for the new year, and be successful with our finances. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this gives you a little bit of motivation to get started with 2022 and figuring out these finances, because it's something that you have to keep your finger on the pulse of. If you don't keep your finger on that pulse of your finances, they will easily get out of control. And so this is really helping to reel me in. I will put a link to the book down below. So if you guys have anything that's been helpful for you, make sure you leave me a comment below. If you like this content, my cooking, cleaning, building, family, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified anytime I post a video. Until next time. Mwah.